Oh, great.
Hello, good evening. Sincere apologies for the technical difficulties. So we are set to start off right away. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FPL Rodeo Weekly Roundup. Here we are going to be looking at fantastic performances that happened in Game Week 2. We'll be doing a quick review of that. We'll also be looking at giving insight into what to expect in Game Week 3. We'll be reviewing Game Week 3 as well. Here at FPL Rodeo, we're a community of brilliant enthusiastic uh, FPL professionals who have passion for playing FPL, and we have come together to talk about FPL in this platform. So my name is Larry, and I'll be on the driving seat this evening. I'll be standing in for our fantastic host, Mayor, who is unavoidably absent. However, I won't be in the studio alone tonight. I have with me Grant, Control, and the Mr. Pudiam himself, show. So happy to have you guys tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Larry.
Good evening.
Glad to be here.
Yes, so happy to be back. So happy to have you once again. Grant, good evening. I don't know if you can hear us. And Tunde, good evening also.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so as we do on the show, we are going to. Okay, thank you very much, Tunde. Happy to have everybody on board. If you're just joining us for the first time in this program, here at FPL Rodeo, we pride ourselves as providing a platform where FPL managers across the country can come together to play, have fun, win beautiful prizes. And we always love to give equal opportunity for everyone to fight for the big prize, which goes across different prize pool. Manager of the month, manager of the week, manager of the season. We have the H2H League, we have the FPL Cup. And of course, aside that, we have side attractions, which includes drink packs for winners across board, except for manager of the week, of course. And we also have the one of the big tickets, which is to watch the UEFA Champions League live in Lagos, courtesy of Pepsi. This also is one of the big things that happens here at FPL Rodeo. And we have this community also. We have. So we are also we pride ourselves in giving out beautiful gift packs and prizes to everyone who participates in our league. So yes, jumping right into the events for today. Today, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be talking about game week 2 review, where we saw amazing matches. We saw different tons of events when it comes to performance across popular sets, and I'll be taking the lead with that, where I'll be doing a quick show and tell to walk you through what happened. Then after that, we are going to be taking reactions from everybody who is in the studio today. Okay, so permit me to just do a quick presentation of my screen. Okay, so I want to believe we all can see my screen, right? Those of us in the studio.
Larry,
Hello?
no, I can't see your screen.
Nothing.
I also cannot see your screen from
Larry,
here.
I can't see your screen.
Okay. Let's give it a few seconds. I don't know if it's the internet.
So I can see your screen now.
Okay. Is it the same with everyone?
I can see your screen, so I'm seeing FPL Rodeo. That's what I'm seeing on your screen.
Okay, so FPL Rodeo Game Week 2 analysis. Okay, then now that we all can see my screen, we are going to eat it off right away. So Game Week 2 started on a very beautiful note for some of us, and we were lucky to have our assets performed from the beginning, but it wasn't all rosy for most managers as popular captain choices failed to deliver. And that is where we'll be picking it right from today. We are going to first talk about the captain choice that people made in the league. So in the league, for game week 2, Ireland was the most popular, capped by 20 out of 32 managers that we have in the league, followed by Salah, capped by 9 persons, Saka and Martinelli. Now, out of those 4 assets, only Salah returned the points. Every other asset blanked. Of course, the highlight of it all was Saka giving his penalty duty to Martin Odegaard, which was at the detriment of potential points that managers could have actually earned from that event. So Salah was the best with 5 returns. He obviously missed the penalty, so that could have been more. So it was a disastrous weekend per se from a captaincy choice or point of view. So 6 of 9 managers in the current top 10 actually had Salah as their captain. So people who are currently ranked top 10, there were people that actually benefited from the choice of Salah. So that is how it went down from the captain choice. They're also going to be quickly looking at transfer business that managers did. The most brought in assets were Henry and Mbemo, and of course, we also what happened when Brentford played against, I think, Fulham, and of course, Mbemo had that fantastic 2 goals, and he accrued 16 points in total. It was a beautiful performance from him, and those of us that actually brought him in, we are also privileged to be a part of the live show last week. We highlighted the importance of Ibrahimo in that game week, and of course, he was there to deliver the juicy points. So for best of transfer business, we had people like Tomaru FC in the league who had the net transfer of 16 points. He sold Trossard to bring in Mbemo. You see that 3 out of the top 5 best transfers, they were people that actually brought in Mbemo. Radiant FC, Jaguar as well. Then other asset that performed well was Estupinian. We all saw that he got 11 points from that game against Wolves. He could have gotten up to, I think, 15 so, even though the goal they conceded. Then, of course, Awoks FC also gained 7 points, courtesy of the transfer in of Akonji. The most transferred out players was obviously James, who got injured leading up to game week 2, and we have Stones as well, who was also flagged injured. Those person who transferred Diogo Jota obviously was licking his lips because Diogo Jota also came out big against Bournemouth. So, who are the worst transfer business for game week 2? Unveiling the mighty Liverpoolian, or as we know him this season, we are Liverpool. He's on the call this evening, so I'm so eager to hear his reaction to this. He did a very decent transfer. He sold Diogo Jota for Luis Diaz, and it wasn't bad in itself because Luis Diaz actually had the goal. But Jota came in with all the points, having a goal and assist. I think 2 assists in that game, which led him to a 13 or 14 point all. And of course, he had the worst game week, losing 9% of potential points he could have earned. So, moving on quickly, we are going to talk about player ownership. So, as it stands in the league, Alan is the most owned player. In fact, only one manager doesn't own, and it's very interesting because looking at the league rank, the manager is currently ranked bottom 2 among the bottom 2 in the league. So, Saka is one of the most important assets for us in the league, followed by Saka, Rashford, Estimate, Pinan, and all the way down to Martinelli to wrap up the top 20 most owned assets in the league. Then for rank movement, this is where it gets particularly interesting for me when I was reviewing this analysis. We had the biggest rise. So for Abisola, who finished game week 1 ranked 28, he jumped 16 places to rank 12. Radiant FC was 18th at the end of game week 1, finished 8th, gained 10 places. Control, who obviously had a very fantastic game week, ranked 5th from 13th from 14th in last game week, followed by Posh, the mighty Babajide, who also jumped 9 places up to 13th from 22. Then we have Actor as well, who jumped up to 15th from 24. Then lastly, Jaguar, who jumped 9 places up to 18th. Then the biggest fall was Samix, the Arsenal fan who saw a disastrous weekend with 29 points returned at the end of game week 2. dropping 21 whooping places. It was ranked fifth at the end of game week one. Then he lost 21 places down to 26, which is very disastrous for him. Followed by FCNG, who lost 18 places to 21. I mean, every of the people who you guess for dropped down to 20 plus rank at the end of game week two. What a weekend! I'm sure it's one they will quickly want to banish, and they can't wait for game week three to start. Then the worst team selection. So it's just not enough for you to have the worst set of player or the drop in ranks and the likes. Who are those that are the worst team selection? So these are the people who had the wrong players in their bench. So there was one person who I knew was going to feature. He was the one that had the highest number of points at the end of game week one. He also featured among the top 5 year super strikers. Last game week, he had 13 points from the bench. This game week is game week two. He ended up with 12 points on the bench, but it wasn't the worst. We had our FC who had 17 points on the bench. I mean, look at his total points for game week two. He ended up with 27. Imagine what he could have done with those 17 points on the bench. And it wasn't that bad for that who had 15, but he still performed very woefully. Joba FC also who had game week point of 20. So it was a very disastrous weekend for some of these guys. Moving on to best manager of the week, which is one of the favorite parts of the week for me. I like to see the guy who is pulling all the wins, who is also winning the cash prize for the week. If you do not know, the manager of the week for FPL Rodeo walks home with 2,000 naira cash. And last week it was Emirate FC who was the last person to actually sign up for our league season. Came out as the first manager of the week, but for game week two, he went to none other than Control, who is on the call tonight. We would be talking to Control much later on the show. But yes, Control had 68 points, and the biggest asset who gave him Estupina with 11, and those guys actually put together. And of course, Odegaard with also 11, following that penalty conversion against Crystal Palace. So 3 of his assets are double digits, and only 4 of 11 blanked. I mean, 0, 1, and 2, and even -2 for some people. He had a weekend where only 4 of 11 assets blanked, and he's currently ranked 4th on the overall FPL Rodeo League table, and is on 387,000 rank in the world. Mighty move by Control. Of course, we're going to hear from him much later on the show tonight. Then the worst manager of the week. Of course, we cannot have the best without the worst. I mean, when I saw this team, I was struck by his selection. I didn't know how to go about it. Obviously, this manager is not one person who would probably really have time for team selection. I mean, Cucurella, who has not made any of the team list, even in preseason for Chelsea, he wasn't top of the list when it comes to team reviews for Mauricio Pochettino. He has him in the team. He has KDB, who had been injured since Criswell, who obviously has not had game time with the emergence of Emerson in that squad. Bruno Fernandes, who, of course, Manchester United have had a rough patch starting the season. Saka, of course, could have been the shining light in that team, but he gave away his penalty duty to Odegaard. McAllister was unfortunate to have McAllister, who was red carded against Bournemouth. DCL was also pulled out of the match against Aston Villa with injury after 37 minutes of play. Haaland missed tons of chances and he had him on cap, and Yarapello did not feature at the tail end of that match against Wolves, but returned 0. The only bright light was Areola, who saved the penalty, Enzo Fernandez penalty, something that Chelsea fan would want to remember tonight. So it was a very mix of poor team selection for Rebab FC, who ended up with 19 points and total month to date of 73 points. I'm not even scratching 100 points. Very disastrous start for the season for Rebab FC. We can only hope that he has a recovery or a turn in fortune in the coming weeks. So 4 of his assets were 0 pointers, 2 assets 1 pointers, and they had a -2 as well. Currently ranked to last in the league, overall league, to last in the league, and 7.5 million out of 9 million managers currently playing the FPL this season. Nah. Moving on. So, manager of the week, of course, we have Control leading it, closely followed by Abishola, who fell 2 points shy, and Radiant in top with 63. Worst manager of the week, like we've highlighted, Riba, followed by our DRS Shakabula FC, who used to go by the name Santorini FC. We hope that he gets firing by the new name that he has gone by this season in the coming weeks. Then manager of the month table, let's look at how people are faring. Top of the league is Emerald, who was quick off the mark last week with by winning manager of the week. He currently ranks top on the manager of the month table, followed by Ahmed Waya on 139 points, and Tuna joined third with Contribute on 138 points alongside Underdog. Bottom, as I mentioned earlier, is Bab FC, Danny Bully, and Mote. Mote, I think, is the only manager who do not have Haaland in the league, and she's currently ranked third from bottom. Then wrapping up with the H2H result, the biggest loser at the end of H2H, like I mentioned, we're also running the H2H league in FPL Rodeo this season, and the biggest loser was obviously Jaguar, who lost to Tuna by 1 point from 56 to 57 points, or 58 to 57 points game. He lost by 1 point. I mean, in a different light, in a different world, he could have won at least 19 other managers if he faced them, any other person aside Tuna. Then the worst winner, who had one of the poorest points return in this game week, but still won H2H League tie, was FC NG, who defeated mighty Shakabula, who needs to go and reload his local bullets from the look of teams in this season. He lost 34 to 20. He won 34 to 28. Shakabula lost that game time. The H2H League table is sitting up pretty well for Emirate as well, who sits also atop with 2 wins from 2 games, followed by Tuna and Control. If you look at the top 4 for H2H, they are very similar to what we have in the classic league table. Bottom wise is also not far-fetched from what we have in the also classic league table with Danny Boli and Mote ranking bottom of this league as well. So wrapping up for this analysis, so we'll just give a quick view into what GW3 will look like, which we'll still come back to talk about. But before we jump right into what GW3 will look like, I'm going to take quick reactions from our guest in the studio tonight. So let me go with Sheon. What do you have to say about the game week 2 performance from our managers?
Okay, first off, thank you, Larry, and good evening to everybody. First off, it's in my entire 8 years of FPL history, I don't think I've ever had a week where 7 players returned a total of 15 points. Actually, it was disastrous. And from experience, picking Everton, because towards the end of last season, we saw what their coach did with the team, and now they were becoming more defensively astute. But for Shaw, for Pickford and Tarkowski to have returned 0 points, it's embarrassing. Also, I was going against the run of play last week when I decided to stick with Shaw and Rashford against Tottenham. Now, we don't really have a complete outlook of what the new coach would do, but knowing United for who they were, I was expecting a win. So on those 2 guys as well, it was a disastrous play. And finally, Saka. I thank God I was not on the pitch. I'll probably have beaten Saka off. I don't understand why you would give your penalty opportunity to somebody else. But all in all, it's a learning. The team for me now is looking a bit scattered. I might have to use my wild card early. But it looks like in week 3, there are some very good games that could earn massive points. But to get that, I might need to throw in my wild card. Thank you, Larry.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you for the feedback. Of course, I mean you are just one of the many managers who are already considering the usage of wild card. I even saw someone's team review for last game week, he actually activated his wildcard in game week 2 and ended up with sub 50 or 60, if I can recollect. So people are beginning to look at wildcard as a way out of this mess of a start the FPL season. So tell me, Grant, how would you describe your performance in game 2, and what was the overall take on the performance of managers across board?
Okay. Good evening again, everyone. So what happened in game week 2 was actually some wrong decisions that was taken in game week 1, which means that some of the managers had some players they thought would hit the ground running, even though I also made some decisions that I think they are haunting me now, in the sense that I didn't see Mitoma as somebody who would have returned any points much more than Diaby, the Aston Villa new guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had so much faith in Diaby, and I think it's haunting me now. That being said, I think I still did fairly better than some managers in the league, even though I would
Feel free
have
to call
gotten more
them.
points. What did
Feel
you
free
say?
to call, feel free to call them out. Feel free to call them out. I know you have some heated rivalry with some managers.
Of course, FCNG, for instance, Oche. Of course, I wish I had played him now. So, using the white card for me at the moment is not my next line of action. I think I still have some players who would return more points in game week 3. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping I get to reap the faith I'm keeping in some of my assets. I think managers did good. Looking at the table, I can see most of our top 10 managers had at least 50. I think managers did very well in this game week. Uh, Most of the managers still kept their faith in Haaland by capping him against a Newcastle. We saw is red hot, beating Aston Villa 5-1 in the first game. So I think we need to really look at other assets, from capping other assets instead of Haaland. I'm sure most people will say cap Haaland, saying they are playing Sheffield United and all of that. I'm not trying to sway people from capping Haaland. Is a robot, is the best guy in the league, but I think there are other assets who could. I might actually spring up surprises by capping a player no one else would cap. I hope it does not haunt me after the game week. Thank you.
I got, yes, of course. You have enough time to think. Like I always tell people, the first few weeks of the new season is always a time for you to do a lot of high tests, do a lot of trials and error, be where you're thinking hard until you're sure what your strategy or direction would be. Then you can now start on a fresh note with the wild card. So for me, it's been a very lovely start to the season. Yes, I'm not hitting the right note when it comes to player selection, asset returns, and the likes. But I think I missed out on the early start of Brighton. I underrated how Brighton was going to start the season. I'm one of those managers that only have one Brighton asset, which is the goalkeeper. I do not have Espina, I do not have Mutuma, I do not have Solmach. Okay, yes, I have Pedro, who seems to have gone down the pecking order for the Zerbi. So don't feel bad if you're starting poorly. I started very not too greatly last season. Let me look up some aspire to Maguire moments, but I ended up winning the FPL Rodeo League. So yes, so that's the story for game week 2. Yes, in terms of performance overall, I think the league did very well. We were about 4 points better than the global average of 44. I think our league averaged 48, so it wasn't the worst thing to happen since the discovery of fried rice. I don't really like fried rice, anyways. So yes, jumping on to the next thing. We have someone who's supposed to be a special guest, but he's starting the show with us tonight. And we'll also still go back to talking about game week performance. Of course, we look into game week 3. But before we jump right into that, we would like to have a section with our manager of the week. going by the name Tunde Momodu. His team name is Control, and we are so happy to have him on the show tonight. And I'll be yielding the mic to Sheon to have a conversation with him. I'll be taking back seat. So over to you, sir. Take us away. Drill him as much as possible. I mean, for him to win Manager of the Week, gone far and beyond. I mean, let's make out all the juice out of him this night. Let him show us the way.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. I think what you have done is, well, I like you, because the final game on head-to-head last season was between me and him. And I know that I think I won by 1 or 2 points, and he has not forgiven me for that. Tunde, Control, well done. I know this is your moment, and it's painful that Shegun is not here. But tell us, what did you do differently last week? How were you able to earn the maximum point? Is there something we can learn from it?
Good evening. Mr. Sheon, I have missed bouncing with you for so long, and I do have personal grievance as per losing the cup to you last season. It was a wonderful one. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you very much. Larry, you've been amazing, and winning as against having Larry in a team with all his projections is actually joyous for me. Winning against Mayor himself, I wished Mayor was here and Mr. Shegun was here. In fact, I have something for Mr. Shegun. If he had been on this call right now, I would have told him a piece of my mind that I have for him. The only transaction I made for last week that was a bit different was making proper arrangement for my team setup, which was I arranged my substitutions, which is the bench, which was the biggest thing I did last week. I arranged my bench the way I know if one of my players blanks for me, who comes in should be giving me at least 4 or 5 points. That was one. That's actually one trade secret for FPL I've learned from last season. Yeah, he wanted me a lot last season, and I've adjusted that. And I was a bit straight with my team. I kept consistency. And consistency failed me in a way. I wanted to take off Alan's captaincy because I know we are not having a De Bruyne for the next few weeks. So he will not be getting enough supply of passes. So Alan is not as productive without a De Bruyne. I saw him play against in the Super Cup final against Sevilla. He didn't deliver as expected because there was no De Bruyne. And I've seen him do that a lot without De Bruyne. So I would have actually gone ahead with my decision, but because I wanted to stay true to my fact for this season, which is if I have a team selection, it should not be just one game week that bases my point for my selection. So I basically substituted only my goalkeeper. That was the only person I changed for my team setup. I changed only my goalkeeper because I had 2 keepers that were not favorites to be delivering points or showing interest in their team progress or failure. So I had to change my goalkeeper. I was lucky to win. That is just that simple because if someone else had capped an Umbeno or probably a Wizard, I'm sure I will not be having as much points enough to win the league, the week. So I think it's just based on luck and probably a bit of calculation. So my substitution came in and gave me 5 points, which was Chukwuemeka. He ended up being injured, but he gave me 5 points before being injured. So I feel that substitution really worth it for me. So I'm looking at running similar setup for this season, for the whole of this season. I'll take my chances carefully and hopefully pray that it works out for me. Consistency is what I'm praying for this season. I think the FPL is not just about coming up a one-off show. FPL is about who stays consistent, average, goes above average every single week. That's the best way to get value for points this season and every other season. So I'm looking at staying above average. That's just it.
Okay, so
thank you very much.
I think I can banter you a little now because all I heard you say was, okay, it was luck. So it's bottom line luck. This time around, this week, I hope luck is against you because I have people who are gunning for you now to take your position. I hope you are ready for that.
I am ready for it. But I just want to remind you of something. Since you are saying you want to banter, let me just remind you. Pep Guardiola would always tell you his opponents are better than him until he trashes them. So I'm waiting.
Unfortunately, you are not as bowed as Guardiola and you don't stay in the UK. You stay in Ijora. I can't wait to see you again, Oga.
Actually, don't stay in Nigeria. Thank you very much. SBC stays in Nigeria.
Thank you, Larry. This is you now. You can take over.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I mean that was a very lovely section. I mean, I like the last minute bants. Yeah, so we are in Nigeria here. You're listening live from Nigeria. So moving on to the next section. I think before I go to the next section, I would like to mention this. One of the things I think we should also introduce during the course of subsequent shows is to have face-off between managers who are always at each other's throat. I mean, I can imagine Grant versus Oche, or Grant versus Justin, Pawajide versus Mayowa, you versus Tunde.
Or Shegun versus Oche and Tunde.
Exactly. So I think I'll keep my eyes out for H2H league fixtures. So the moment the pair any of you guys together, we are going to have a face-off. You're going to band for like 5 minutes. I mean, you're going to throw that. I mean, you're going to just throw words and say, yes, I'm going to do this and that. So they will now come back at the end of that game with the next show. We're going to come back and now talk about, okay, oh, guy, you made all the amount. What happened? You get. So I'll look forward to that part of the show in subsequent sections. So
I
yes,
am looking forward to that. Please, whenever there is a pairing with me, and let me know. We are Liverpool. And Shakabula, is it Shabalula FC? I want those people. I have plans for them. Larry, me and you, we are good always. No worries, right?
It's not your fault. You have won the only 2K you will win this season, okay? Just go and sit down.
Yeah, now. I'm liking the vibe already.
Larry,
Yes, please.
Do you know?
Yes, please.
The reason Mr. Sheon won last week? For last season.
Okay, I'll let you say the last point. Then we'll keep you moving. Tell me.
I would like to know. He had a card that he had not used. I had used all my cards.
Okay, so
he used the last card on the last game week. If not, he would not have won now. He knows.
Today waits first before I move on.
No problem. I look forward to this season.
Tunde, that is why
everybody started using more cards now. If you have used your beginning of season, try to use it on
everybody had the same number of white cards, the same number of bench boosts, the same number of chips altogether. That is why he's in planning now. You understand?
He was so strategic with his approach. So he left the big ticket.
Yeah, Grant. I missed out on using a few of mine last season.
Why?
Unfortunately, if you keep listening to Tunde, we will not move. If you keep listening to Tunde, we will not move. Tunde, just take it in your stride that you were flogged last season. It's a new season.
No problem.
Stomach the banter.
No problem. Congratulations. No. I'm moving on. I'm actually moving on from the bant. I was actually trying to reply Alan's captaincy and Man U, Shaw and Rashford selection that you had on your team. So that's what I was trying to reply. So you had Man U.
Can you hold on today? Please?
And Rashford. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, can you hold on, please? Okay, fine. So I see that you're beginning to veer towards analysis for game week 3. So let's just jump right in together. So yes, we'll be moving on to the last lap of the show where we are going to be talking about game week 3, what we should expect, who we should look out for, teams to target. And to start with that, I'm going to be sharing a few tips that we have put together, courtesy of one of our managers here, Babajide, who put out these slides together for us to look at. So once you have the display from your end, please let me know. I think it's loading up already. Okay. So yes, so game week 3 key outlook for those of us listening or watching us from home or from wherever comfort zone that you find yourself. So one of the first things he said, and I'm going to go to say, is don't take rash decisions by overhauling your team completely. I know someone said earlier that he can't wait to use a white card and like. So I think you should make calculated moves. I mean, be sure if that's the right way to go. If you feel like you need to just take maybe a -4, or you should lump up your free transfers to make that nice move, please, by all means, go ahead and do that. Then watch as much football as you can. Stats are good, but eye test can tell you better inside. Yes, I believe this. One of the things I'm hoping to do better this season, and I believe some of us too as well, is to watch more EPL games, even for the matches that you feel are pretty less important. I mean, I found myself watching Nottingham Forest versus Sheffield. I learned a lot of things from that match, and in retrospect, Turner is actually a good asset to have. You could have actually, or the goal he considered is one that could have beaten any best goalkeeper in the league right now. So yes, you need to watch some football matches to get better insight onto asset performance. Then keep your captain's choice simple. Try to follow the majority. It's important for the early seasons. Yes, today was saying he wanted to tilt away from. It was Grant that was saying he wanted to tilt away from the regular Alan selection. And personally, say your personal advice, anyways, it's fine if you don't want to follow it. I mean, don't veer away from the template too much beginning of the season. Try to move it so that you not be far behind, you not have lost so much points because you are trying to do differentials from early season. It's something I learned bitterly 2 seasons ago when I was trying to stand out from the beginning. I wasn't following the template, and it ultimately by the time I was recovering, it was already too late. So yes, as much as possible, stick to the basic one. Look at the features that some of these popular guys are facing and pick them. It's not going to hurt. I mean, imagine people going with Alan and Salah. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody got the eat. So if they hold, everybody else. If they lose, everybody loses. Imagine if Alan that had the hat trick last week or Salah had hat trick. You understand? You know how much points you'll be losing. They target the defense of newly promoted sides. They have not convinced this defensively yet. Absolutely. From Burnley to Sheffield United, they have struggled defensively. And of course, it's going to take time. This is their first. There's their return back to EPL. They are trying to catch up with the pace of the game. EPL is unlike the Championship, where it's basketball and football. But yeah, at the EPL, this is a different ball game. Their defense is obviously going to be leaky as they continue to iterate and find the perfect formula to attack the season. And Alan plays on lower teams. I mean, I personally call Alan flat track bully. He has patience for preying on smaller teams, especially newly promoted teams. I mean, he performed beautifully well against newly promoted sides last season. And I started that this season with Burnley, 2 goals. He could have had a hat-trick on any other day. And of course, he's facing Sheffield United away and doesn't shy even from away performances. So Ireland is one person. I'm not saying you should go and cap Ireland, but it's one person I think is important for you to look when it comes to captaincy choice. The features to target, I've already mentioned Sheffield United versus Man City, Burnley versus Aston Villa, Chelsea versus Luton, and of course, one player to target is Jackson. Jackson, it doesn't make our players list to target, but it's one person that I think you have to look at. As well, Bournemouth versus Spurs is a fixture that last season gave awesome goals. I mean, it was loaded with goals. The first leg ended 3-2 in favor of Tottenham. The second leg at the Tottenham Sports Stadium ended up 3-2 as well in favor of Bournemouth. So it's a feature that promises goals. So you can look at beautiful asset that you can target between these guys. Then we have Arsenal versus Fulham. As is playing at home is London Derby, so it's one juicy feature that you would not want to play with. Brighton versus West Ham, I want to believe it's going to be an explosive game. Brighton has started like a house on fire, and we expect them to continue in that momentum. Then lastly, Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. Personally, I feel that this is a match that should turn around the fortunes of Manchester United. We expect the assets that failed to deliver to now turn up against Nottingham Forest. So it should be an easy win for them at Old Trafford. But then, for what we've also learned from Manchester United this season, they make the easy game very difficult. So players to target, Alvarez Foden. With the absence of KDB, we have Alvarez who have been brought to the limelight, and Foden played in that KDB role last week against Nottingham Forest, winning the man of the match for that game. We have Wisa, who has also gained new ownership and growth in his price, leading the firing line or the front line for Brentford in the absence of Ivan Toney. We have Ben Chilwell, who seems to have taken a new role and found a new house or place towards the goal post. That's where you find Ben Chilwell. If you look at his heat map, from the past 2 games, he has been closer to the goals. And then we have Diaby, who seems to be promising. He had a very interesting start to the season. He was quiet last week against Everton, but he's one to watch out in what promises to be an open game against Burnley. We also have Watkins coming at back of the hat-trick performance in the UEFA Conference League game 2 days ago. They have Rashford, which we expect to actually have a turn in fortune against Nottingham Forest, and we have Mitoma, who had a fantastic goal. The other asset as well, but because of little constraint, we couldn't put all of them out. But these are some selected players to target. But then I'm going to leave it out to everyone, the guests in the studio, to talk us to what they expect for Game 3. We'll start with Grant. So Grant, tell me, what do you expect for Game 3? How would you advise managers to approach Game 3, and which players are you looking at?
I'll be starting with the Man City and the Sheffield United game, the Sheffield United versus Man City game. The game seemed to be from the Championship last season. Sheffield United is a very strong team, They don't shy away from attacks, and I think they might spring forth surprises against City. But then we all know how Pep can be. Pep can decide to twist his game and still find a way to squeeze in 2 to 3 goals against Sheffield United. Burnley versus Aston Villa, I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Aston Villa, but I think that game for Aston Villa, we can look into having some of their defenders. That game can be a game where Aston Villa can keep a clean sheet. I'm seeing a 0-0 in that game, or maybe a 1-0. Chelsea versus Luton Town. Personally, I'm shying away from having any Chelsea assets because I don't know. Chelsea seem to not have gotten over their last season's problems. So I'm not really sure about Chelsea versus this Luton Town. It's somehow for me. Spurs and Bournemouth, I think it's time to actually look into having some Tottenham assets, being that they are having a good run of game from this game week 3 till about game week 6. I'm looking at having some Tottenham assets, say someone in the frame of Kulusevski, Pedro Porro, and their Van der Ven, their new defender. But this game looks like a game we are going to have so much goals, being that Bournemouth signed some attacking oriented players, Max Aarons, their new CDM, who is also very good with attacking. Then they still have Solanke and the Semeyo guy. Also, Arsenal versus Fulham seem to be a game where we'll have so much goals. Kayo Saka seems to look to me like someone who is going to bang in a couple of goals. Brighton and West Ham is a very difficult one for me. Looking at West Ham last week against Chelsea, West Ham seemed to be a team who have something to offer this season, unlike last season where they struggled at the points but were able to still escape relegation. The game looks like a game where Brighton might struggle a bit, being that West Ham is trying to get in their new assets in Julian Alvarez. He seems to be someone who can take on the mantle left. Declan Rice left with holding on to the creative CDM role. Man United versus Nottingham Forest. Man, I don't know. Man United is a disappointment. Man United is a disappointment. Looking at
okay, good.
Tell me, Larry.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for running us through the figures. I have a question, anyways. I'm going to direct it to Ashon. The question is this: looking at how your game turned out, you talked about how you trusted Everton asset and how it's bond you so far, and how would you approach game 3? Are you going to ditch the Everton assets to look for assurance in maybe City assets in defense? or maybe Arsenal? What's going to be your approach? Or do you want to keep all your cards to yourself? You're not going to reveal?
I would rather keep. However, there are certain things that would stand out. I expect Everton to have their first win. They are playing against a Wolves side that is trying to get their identity after their coach left a few weeks to the beginning of the season. So, and also, while Grant might not be too confident in United, I'm expecting a 2-0 win from United. I'm expecting Shaw to have a clean sheet. It might sound a bit um, funny, but I expect a clean sheet from City. Chelsea, Luton, Johnson to score 3-0 for Chelsea. I think I said it will start. I expect a sturdier Chelsea team. So I'll still keep my Johnson. I'll keep my Shaw, and I will keep Haaland. Foden would thrive in the De Bruyne role, although not as versatile as De Bruyne. I would try as much as possible to avoid Liverpool because Newcastle-Liverpool will be a very tough match. And I also expect Brighton-West Ham to be it. Although I expect Brighton to win, but it will still be a tough match. I will keep Estupinian in the game, in the team. I'll keep Mbemo. But these are for people who are making having doubts about it. I think Onana is somebody you might want to bring in. Chilwell is somebody you might want to consider in defense. Mitoma has been dropping points. I'm sorry, not dropping points, gaining points. You may want to consider him. And I think Maddison will play well in this week. Captaincy choice, please stick with Haaland. You know, those days we say when in doubt, cap Salah. But for this week, I'm saying to you, when in doubt, just cap Haaland. Haaland has a way of bullying smaller teams, and I think he will have his way with Sheffield United. So avoid Arsenal, Fulham. Fulham will shock everybody. I'm expecting a draw from that match. Avoid Liverpool, Newcastle. And then certain players to watch that I might also want to watch. Zoboslai, Alvarez, Jackson, Nketiah, Wissa. Wissa is really, really key. And Awoniyi. Although I do not expect him to score, but I expect him to pull a lot of weight in this match. That's all I have. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much. I mean, you've given us a fantastic rundown of what we should expect, and I mean, for everyone listening and who even get to watch this show after now, I mean, this is your gateway to achieving 100 points. I mean, look at all the insight that you have gained in the past few minutes. But then, before wrapping up, we are close to wrapping up the show, and before that, I would like to hear from our manager of the week. To just who do you think we should cap? We have so many juicy options. We have Saka, we have Haaland playing Sheffield, we have Salah playing a very resilient Newcastle side. We have Rashford against Luton. We have so many beautiful options. Of course, Mitoma as well. And who do you think will be the best captaincy choice?
For me, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
So I think for me, I would do. So two options for me. Surprisingly, I would prefer to cap either I'm capping an Haaland or I'll just advise whoever is going with should go with a Watkins or an Haaland. For me, the biggest surprise would be Haaland scoring. Then you feel the awful feeling of, oh, why did I take my captaincy off him? And most likely a Watkins delivering. So if you have a Watkins on your team or you have a Mitoma on your team, you can either risk capping them or capping Haaland. That's just it. So like Mr. Sheon said, when in doubt, please leave Haaland. Thank you.
Okay, it's Haaland. He said Salah actually, no Haaland. Yeah, say
no. For previous, he said for previous seasons, we used to say when in doubt, cap Salah. So now for the last one season now, when in doubt, you cap Haaland. So if you are in doubt, please cap Haaland.
Okay, so you have it all from the manager of the week. We saying that we should cap, and for me, I mean, there's nothing much more to say. We have literally touched every aspect of what you should expect from GW3, and we can only hope that you get the best of your preparation into this game week. Personally, I'm looking at maybe upward 75 points. I don't know what any other person is looking at, but for me, I should flog myself and go get up to 75. And please, my answer should not be giving me 0-1-2. I'm tired of having 0-1-2. I've had it for 2 game weeks running now. I don't want to have that episode in game week 3. So on this note, I think we are going to bring the show to an end. Any parting word, Grant? Thank you for joining us today. Any parting word?
Thank you for having me, Larry. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Sheo, any parting word for us?
I just want to flog people on Saturday. Tunde is one of them, Shegun is one of them, and Oche. These 3 people, I'm gunning for them.
God help all of them when you meet them in H2H. I even God help the person that you're even meeting this week in H2H league. Okay, now so Tunde, last word.
My last word would...
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Last word
May
for
the
the
best
day.
manager win.
May the best manager
May
win.
the best manager win.
Okay, fantastic. So you had it all from our veterans and our incubator manager of the week. And we can only wish that you have a very awesome start to the weekend. Thank you all for joining us on this beautiful FPL Rodeo show. Don't forget to share this good news to your FPL communities and subscribe to our channel. It's very important so you can stay up to date with every of our scheduled events. Thank you once again. Do have a fantastic night rest and a blessed FPL
Hello,
weekend.
Larry. Okay.
Yes.
So, hello, Larry. So
Yes.
our Instagram handle is not functional yet. Please, can you help us with check so I can help with sharing, please, also?
Okay, yes, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push that. Yes, you can also follow us on social media. Is at FPL Rodeo for our Instagram, and for our Twitter account is at FPL Rodeo _. So Instagram at FPL Rodeo, then Twitter at FPL Rodeo _. So those are social media, and then of course you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to gain all the insights, all the points, and listen to our season analyst. So it's night for us here in the studio. Do have a blessed evening. Bye.